Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it emphatically. All lives matter. Formed in the image of God. Don't be a racist. All lives matter, no matter what color your skin. Good morning, everybody. Here we go with Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with the Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, sitting here in the studio looking outside at what may become a relatively rainy morning. We'll hear more about that in just a moment. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment, and, of course, the best in tires. Don't forget your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have one of our many patriots on the program with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That is the Sugar Cookie Queen. God bless you and thank you so much.
You're sure welcome.
I love that lady. Thank you very, very much. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rentals, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. I was looking ahead on our weather forecast that Gina's given us, and I'm telling you what, this week things are going to change, get warm, get sunny, and you can get outside and really get to work on those projects outside on your lawn, your garden, whatever you're doing. And K&R Rentals got all the tools. They've got all the tools. They got the rototillers. They got all the water lines. They've got all the power rakes. They've got it all at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. You can't miss them. They're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And the number to call Roger and the crew, 678-3122 at K&R Rental. Here's Gina with the weather.
More precipitation is in the forecast for today. Hopefully by tomorrow and the rest of the week it will be warming up. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Chance of rain, showers, and thunderstorms are possible this afternoon. Some of these storms could produce small hail and gusty winds. Mostly cloudy skies, and winds could gust as high as 26 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 58. Those showers and thunderstorms are going to continue for tonight, tapering off after midnight. And again, some of these storms could produce small hail and gusty winds. We are expecting a low of 44. Tomorrow, back to mostly sunny skies, breezy, high of 61. Thursday, sunny and 72. Friday, sunny and 76. As we look ahead towards Sunday, could get up to 90. That's a look at your weather for Zeb.
I'll take it. Thanks, Gina. She does a great job. Comprehensive weather forecast. Thank you. Brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Roger and the crew are already there serving you. And if you want to call them first before you stop over, 678-3122 on the Burley-Paul Highway, K&R Rental. Stand by, caller. I'll be right there. I want to tell everybody about the place to take your clothes. clothes, and that is, of course, Daryl's Cleaners. Nobody takes care of your clothes like they do. The very best in dry cleaning, and believe me, that really adds to the life and longevity of your clothes, and they do an outstanding job. I'm pretty fussy, and by golly, they've done a good job for us for years and years. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And by the way, if you don't have time to do your washing, they'll do it for you. Wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes just like Mommy used to at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. One other quick note on some folks that get there early in the morning, and we really appreciate them and have for, my goodness, over 20 years. And that's, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric. They've personally been in business almost 7 decades, and they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and the number to call, 678-0459. For all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and I mean that, all of them with the best of people, the most knowledgeable, highly trained individuals serving you at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't forget, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, I am sorry to keep you waiting. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I hope you have enjoyed the summer we just had.
Well, I enjoyed the summer we're going to have.
No, it's over with.
No.
In Idaho, we only have 2 seasons. Winter and 4th of July.
Well, I'm optimistic that we're going to get some very nice weather at the tail end of this week, and all indications are that it's going to get very warm, a lot of sunshine, and anyhow, I'm optimistic about a great summer weather. What can I do for you this morning, sir?
Well, let's talk about the rat race. It seems at this point the rats are ahead, aren't they?
I'm not sure what your reference is, but I'm just going to say this bluntly. I am going to be really running down on this program. The Democrats, their association with the left and Marxist groups like Black Lives Matter, Antifa, etc. I think everything that's going on is disgusting and wrong. I'm going to be talking about Seattle. We've got a bunch of things we need to talk about, but we can talk all we want. But we, the people, have to do something. And Keith Cottom, don't you think for a minute, not for a minute, that those problems can't come right here?
Oh, they can. But, you know, their strategy right now is to go from one crisis to another.
Yeah.
But don't let it die down. Keep everything in a turmoil.
I think you're 100% right on that, Keith. And when you say something I don't agree with, I'm going to tell you. But this, I think you and I are joined at the hip on, because these strategies of creating more crises as we get closer to the election are geared and organized by big money from the left and the Democratic Party to absolutely throw mud on the Trump administration and their possible reelection. Anybody that can't see that is a dolt.
Well, my idea of calling them rats, I think, is a compliment to them, because they're worse than that. They're vermin, just like you say.
Well, I'm disgusted with the division in this country, and I don't think I know you didn't, and I didn't act that way when Obama was president. I didn't like Obama. I didn't like anything about his politics. I didn't like him as a personal human being away from the Oval Office or in the Oval Office. I just don't like him. And I never resorted on the radio to this filthy and absolutely ridiculous tactics that they're using against President Trump.
You know, what bothers me is when I talk to someone who is a Democrat, I ask him, I just asked him about Trump, and he said, well, he's such a liar. And I said, what do you mean? Every time he opens his mouth, he's lying.
No, that's not true, and you know it.
Claim, and I ask him, be specific, and they can't.
They can't be. This fact-checking and belittling, and every Sunday in the Times News, which is a rag, absolutely a parakeet cage rag, is disgusting. Keith, I got another call waiting. Thank you for breaking the ice this morning. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You do the same.
I will. Thank you. All right. Don't forget, I'll be right there, caller. Dino Septic Service. And when I say septic service, that's right. The very best of doing a job that you and I don't want to do. No septic tank pumping. I don't want to be standing out there doing that. Liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain line cleaning. They have the best of backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed. I mean, absolutely a great job for you. Call them. Fast, fair, friendly service. How do I know? They've done work for us, and they are great. 436-6526 or 678-1638 with that big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Deborah. At the senior center today, they're having pigs in blankets. And I want to also say that if you're not comfortable coming in until the last of June, you can drive up and they'll bring it right out to you.
Okay, Joe. And by the way, Joe, tell me quickly, you must have some pretty strong seniors over there that can wrestle those pigs and tie them in a blanket.
Well, those are warm blankets that they put them in.
Okay. Well, that's at the Senior Center on Overland Avenue, and it's open for your dining delight, and we send everybody over.
Young or old, you don't have to be a senior. Everybody's welcome.
All right. Joe, you're the greatest cheerleader in the world for the Senior Center on Overland. God bless you, and I hope everybody comes over and supports the Senior Center.
Thank you for taking my call.
You betcha, buddy. Thank you so much. What a nice man. I just can't brag on Joe enough. He's a super, super nice man. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Here we go again. Riots and burning in Portland last night. More garbage from Black Lives Matter, and that's what it is. I'm not going to kowtow to them. You know, I listened last night to the kind of an editorial that Tucker Carlson had, and he said things that I've said on this program weeks ago, like he has also, and not that we compared notes by any means, but Black Lives Matter is absolutely a very powerful and very political and very supported group from the left wing and Democrats. And I am very concerned because of what they have now power to do. They can come in and they can demonize you, go after you, and destroy you. And I know that my radio program and others that are going to tell it like it is about Black Lives Matter are absolutely probably under their scrutiny, but I'm not going to back up. This is absolutely ridiculous what's happening in this country. A Marxist group that is hell-bent on destroying our Constitution and our value system is receiving praise from a lot of politicals, including a rhino Republican that I've lost all my respect for, and that's Mitt Romney. They can't see the forest because a tree's standing in the way, and they can't see the truth. And the Republicans had better get up, tie their wingtip shoes, and get to work before it's much too late in trying to put something back into the bottle and then put the cork in it in this country before we're all in a major race war. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Doug, my old buddy Doug Martin, has got his business for sale. And he's had quite a few people contact him, but I'll tell you what, he wants to make sure that the people that buy this know it's a turnkey business operation. It's ready for you. That's right. The owner will finance, and Doug will also train the buyer of the business of rebuilding starters and alternators, etc. And I urge you to give him a call. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Hayburn. The number to call Doug, 878-4991. That number again, 878-4991. A great business opportunity for you. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, here's a question for you folks out here. And like I said, we're not immune. You can't be naive. You can't say, well, that happened over there. That happened over in Portland. That happened over in Seattle. That happened over in Atlanta. Yeah, when you get to talking about it, pretty quick, you're going to be drawing the lines closer on the dots right to your own home area. We're not immune from any of these problems. And what happened in Portland last night with riots and burning, and then, of course, the situation in Atlanta, how many of you would want to be a police officer and go through the keyhole that they're going through in trying to arrest or detain or hold criminals after they've committed a crime or even attack on the officers? I watched the entirety of that tape in Atlanta with the two police officers and the eventual shooting of Rayshard Brooks. The man was in a car. He was the driver. He was sleeping in the drive-through lane. He passed out from being drunk. And the people at Wendy's tried to wake him up, tried to tell him, hey, you got to go, you got to move, we got cars stacked up. And finally they called the police. The police came, and I'm giving a rough synopsis. Very politely on the tape, they encouraged him to do this, that, and the other, and because he was intoxicated, they couldn't let him get back behind the wheel. Anybody would have been arrested in that state of mind for being drunk. You can't let them get back in behind the steering wheel and endanger other people. And then Rayshard Brooks went off the deep end and attacked the police, and during the melee, grabbed one of the tasers and tried to hit the police. And then, with the taser in his hand, he ran off, and the police stopped him. Unfortunately, it resulted in the death of Rayshard Brooks. What do you do? Where do you draw the line? Do you, as a policeman, just stand there and say to your partner, oh, well, he got away. Oh, well, we're going to put him back on the street. We don't know who he is. We have nothing as far as his residence or anything. We don't know, but he's gone. Police are absolutely being hamstrung today, and they don't have any backing by us. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes. When you're talking about people being drunk and that sort of thing, it reminds me of years ago I had a salesman who was known to drink some. But anyway, I got a call early in the morning, and it was the Rupert Police Department. One of their officers said, hey, you have a car over here with your dealer number on it, and this guy is asleep behind the wheel, and we're pretty sure he is drunk. Would you like to come over and help us? And I put my clothes on, went right over and helped him. I got him out of the car and everything, and of course I fired him immediately. I didn't even offer him a ride home because of the embarrassment. But this was so good of that police department, to notify me and make it as painless as possible.
Yeah.
He did not get a DUI. Nothing went on his record or anything. He just had to go on his way.
Well, yeah, there's instances. You can go on and on and on. Anyone can about our police. I don't care if it's here in this area, if it's the state police, if it's anybody in any other town. But I absolutely am a supporter of our police. Yes, definitely there are some bad apples. There's bad apples in every business. There's bad apples in the insurance business. There's bad apples in the grocery business. There's bad apples in any kind of business. But that does not mean that we condemn and throw all of them out. And right now, with this stupid, and it is very stupid in plain, simple terminology, idea that they can defund and disband the police across the United States, I've never heard of anything so insane in my life, and these people should be scoffed at. And I'm going to tell you something else. One of our House of Representatives, Ilhan Omar, I hope and I pray that that woman, and that's even saying, just a minute, that's even saying something too nice about her, is replaced in the next election. Her comments like, cops are rotten to the roots, is just another evil statement from an evil, stupid woman.
You know, Matt, this CHOP, they call this in Seattle, see, people who have business there are going to be required to pay for their protection.
Well, they're not being they're being coerced. Yeah, they're being coerced in a little bit of under the table graft and corruption by some of these people, saying, "Well, now listen, if you're going to be open, we'll protect your business, but it's going to cost you some money because you never know what's going to happen. We'll be there." Yeah, right. This is absolutely a mess, and I want to see that ended by this week's end. I don't care if they have to bring in the bulldozers, like Rick Manning said yesterday from Washington, D.C. I don't care if they bring in the dogs. I don't care if they bring in the water cannons. They've got to stop this problem before it exacerbates itself to a larger problem and goes to another city. Keith, I got to run. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
About this one, real quick, about this one rally where they ask you to have your black brother, you give them $10.
Yeah.
Everybody you see that's black, give them $10.
Don't get me started on that. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. Calls are welcome. 436-2244. Come on, you got to talk about this, folks, because we are seeing a chain of events in this country that I never thought we would ever see in my lifetime. I never even anticipated we would be talking about these absolute destitute of any mental capacity left Democrats talking about defunding and disbanding the police departments? Oh, my goodness. I want to give kudos to the Rupert 4th of July celebration. They are not going to weaken. They're going to have their Rupert 4th of July celebration this year, starting on June 29th, going all the way through Saturday the 4th of July. And the theme this year is Rockin' in the USA. And the Grand Marshal, Charlie and Lori Creason. Main sponsor, PMT, and they're going to have a customer appreciation luncheon on Monday, June 29th. And then on Tuesday, June 30th, of course, they're going to have that great big Christmas lighting breakfast on the Rupert Square. Excuse me. I about choked to death. And, of course, fireworks at dark that night. And then every day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, great events for you to enjoy the Rupert 4th of July celebration for this year, with the culmination on Saturday, July 4th, with one of the biggest and best parades anywhere in the U.S. at 11 o'clock. All of this at the Rupert 4th of July celebration for 2020. God bless them. They're going to have their big celebration. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, I, for one, am sick and tired of these people thinking they can demoralize and denigrate and hurt our first responders. Who are they going to call when something happens? Ghostbusters?
I said that the other day. It's funny, our minds work in the same place. You know, Donna, this isn't even funny because they have up there at that little mini ridiculous asinine city that they've started in the 7-block area in Seattle, they've had occasion to where they have had to call 911. And because of the response not being able to get through, you know, they're suffering. People are suffering. Store owners are suffering. Businesses are being, the tills aren't having any cash added to it. And homeowners in that area are absolutely afraid to step out of their homes.
I know, it's ridiculous. We have a nephew that's on the SWAT team there in Washington, D.C., and, you know, I fear every day, you know, not just for our police officers, but any of our first responders. they're mainly targeting police, but what's
yeah.
going to happen when they start doing the fire department or the EMTs? What are we going to do then?
Well, let me tell you something. My son, of course, is a fireman. You know that, on the Boise Fire Department. And he was down here this past weekend, and we had a chance to visit a little bit about this. And he said, Dad, they're going to have to where you're always starting to look over your shoulder. You've got to have a rear view mirror. And that's not the way that they should try to do their job.
No, I totally agree, and I worry about Jake too. I know him. I don't know what these people are thinking. It stopped being about George when about 2 seconds after he died, and it's sad that he did. I'm sorry. But that doesn't give people the right to riot and loot and hurt and destroy other people. I think we need to bring the military in and start mowing them down.
Well, I just honestly think that there has to be power. And there has to be a power source that is going to let these people know that they cannot run rampant, lawless, against our Constitution and hurting other people that are trying to make a living and or get to their homes. You can't do that. And I got to tell you this, one of the most disgusting things I heard this morning at 4 o'clock, I don't know if you heard this or not, but it just really bothered me because I saw the emblem on the front of the T-shirt and it's so disgusting and distasteful. But Amazon is selling T-shirts that say Blue Lives Murder. And they're showing a policeman murdering someone. I mean, this is so pathetic and so dumb and stupid, any word you want to use. And we the people, I'll still go back to the Constitution, Donna. You, George, me, Deanne, everybody should be outraged, and we the people have got to stop this garbage.
We do, and if we don't stand up, there's people who are afraid to stand up. Well, we need to stand up and take our communities back and our country back, and we need to start backing the people that are for the people. We need to get the George Soroses and the Clintons and the Obamas. We need to get them the heck out of here.
Well, and then Jenny Durkin, the mayor of Seattle, is a woman that shouldn't be doing anything but trying to manage maybe turtle sales at a pet store. I mean, she's absolutely ridiculous. And then she called these people that have taken over that 7 block area patriots. Patriots? Are you kidding me, patriots? When you disrupt other people's God-fearing rights to our Constitution, and they call that patriotism, that's insanity.
Yeah. And the sad thing about it is Seattle's not that far away from Boise and Idaho, Zeb. I worry that, when people start crossing that border, I don't think Idaho's going to put up with them coming across that border.
I hope not. I hope not. We can talk tough, but we'd better be tough. Don, I got another call. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a good day, my friend.
All right. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant. We're going to be there Thursday at 11:30 for our lunch bunch. Please, lunch bunchers. The weather's supposed to be great. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be outside. They're going to set up tables and chairs, and it's going to be kind of an old-fashioned outside summer fun party. So come on down. Well, delicious food and really super nice people. You know all that at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And going to be kind of a big festive deal to where they're going to have a duck pond to draw prizes. And they're just going to have a lot of fun at Denny's Restaurant. America's Diner this Thursday. Don't forget to come on down and be a part of Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant Thursday at 11:30. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. What city was it that the rioters were escorting the police out of the city?
Well, there's...
Had them on the TV?
Well, I think they were showing up in Seattle. I mean, the rioters demanded the police leave their precinct, and the police, because of the mayor, they were given an edict that they had to go, and they kind of put their tails between their legs and left. It doesn't make any difference where it is, my friend Tony. It's got to stop. And we've got to turn around, and I'm going to take a lot of heat from my next statement, but I think you'll agree with me. You're going to have to bloody some noses on these protesters so that they start obeying the law.
Well, another thing, what about the sanitation conditions? These people will probably have all the toilets plugged up, and there's going to be a major outbreak of disease in these cities.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that's left, when the police leave, declare martial law, and like you say, the blood has to flow, it has to stop, because if this thing continues, we are going to lose our country.
I don't know why people can't understand that. You can't have chaos. You can't have turmoil. You can't have lawlessness. You can't have people thumbing their nose at what is right. You can't have, on the other side, citizens that are taxpayers not being able to go and run their business, not being able to go home and park their car in their front yard. I mean, this is insane. It's got to stop.
Well, what's going to happen when the people can't get out of their homes to go out and buy food or go to a doctor? You're going to have these people on your front lawn. Are you going to be able to go out there with your shotgun and remove them?
Yeah, you were talking about sanitation and hygiene, and I heard reports yesterday that these nincompoops that have taken over that 7-block area, were demanding to various residents that the nincompoops, come into their home and use their toilet facilities.
Oh, that would be nice.
No, it wouldn't be.
Next thing you know, the occupants of the house would be out in the streets because all the bums would be in the house using their toilets, eating up their food, stealing whatever they've got.
I don't know what the answer. I don't know what the answer is, Tony. But the answer is going to have to involve, and again, the soft little rose petals in this area, they're not going to like this. And for that matter, on a nationwide level, everybody that's listening on the internet, we're going to have to use the 5-letter word force. You're going to have to bring in the water cannons. You're going to have to bring in the dogs. You're going to have to bring in the bulldozers. You're going to have to clean that area up, and you're going to have some force to get these people out of there. And once they're gone, others are going to realize we're not going to put up with this mayhem.
Well, if it takes the bayonets to do it, that's the way it's going to be. It's either that or lose our country.
I agree. Thank you, Tony. God bless you. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you. Audience, please, I know that there's people that live here that are just saying, oh, well, they're just having a kumbaya moment. No, they're not. Oh, well, they're just making a little fire at night by one of the grates in the street, and they're making chocolate s'mores, and they're just singing all kinds of nice little campfire songs. No, they're not. These people are hell-bent on destroying our Constitution and our American values. And I'm not going to back up on this. I don't want them in any city. I don't want them to have any control or power. You shouldn't either. This is America, where we're supposed to pull together, and we're supposed to be citizens underneath our laws and regulatory means in our Constitution, and trying to live a good life, trying to provide for our families. And these people are taking those rights away. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Got to stop. It's got to stop. Calls welcome, please. Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Hello, Corey. I'll tell you what, they're good folks over there. And 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli in the Nampa location. Wow, you got jobs that need to be lifting and digging and pushing and carrying and grading and leveling. I'm telling you what, they've got the equipment. All the Bobcats. They got a brand new inventory for this year. They got all the Bobcats, all the sizes, all the trenchers and the scissor lifts, and they got the big, tough Doosan wheel loaders and the excavators. And they've got absolutely great financing programs to buy and super leasing programs. So check them out at Barry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa serving you, Barry Equipment and Rental. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's going to get down to the point, caller, I'll be right there. Mark my words on this. Go ahead, make a little note right there on your kitchen table or whatever, that we're going to be in for a rough, tough ride. We, the people. And we, the people, are going to have to protect ourselves and our families because of what's going on with the hands tied behind their back police forces. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I don't know if people realize that we don't live in such a bubble that we think we do. We have a major freeway that runs through.
Yep.
And they are coming right through our area. They are staying in this area. They are passing through this area. Buyer beware.
You know, what you said was very, very important. Everything that happens, whether it's in Salt Lake City, whether it's in Boise, whether it's in Seattle, Portland, or in Missoula, Montana, we are basically, if you look at the schematic of the interstate system, we are in the hub, the main part of the wheel, if you will, of transportation all over the Northwest. And you're right. These people travel here, through here, go and stay here. We are not immune, but how do you tell people that we've got to protect ourselves?
Well, people better wake up and pull their head out of the sand.
Or elsewhere.
Living in a bubble. They're passing through. They're in our area. They're checking us out. My husband and I ran into some of them this weekend, and they're here.
Let me ask you, if you don't want to elaborate.
They come in to where I work because they mainly have a vegan diet. They're looking for certain products. They're here, people. Wake up.
Let me ask you, if I'm not being too intrusive, but when you talk to some of these people, what did you hear that maybe raised some worry and concern in your mind?
Well, in my job, I try to be as professional as I can, but it's hard for me with the background that I have. But in just ask, oh, hi, where are you from? A lot of people are looking for certain products, vegan products or whatever, and it's, well, I came from back east, but I've been to California, and I'm staying here for a while, and just you just try to be cordial to people, and I'm sorry, but I kind of pick their brain as to, well, why are you here? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And you just put the pieces of the puzzle together, and it's like, what's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
Something's not right here.
Let me ask you this. We're looking at Seattle as a volatile powder keg. We're looking at Portland as a volatile powder keg. We're looking at various cities in California. Of course, we all know about what's going on in other cities. What should be done, in your opinion, right now to squash and stop the Seattle problem? What would you do?
Man, I wish I had a crystal ball, and I wish I knew. I've heard of some groups getting together and wanting to surround the city and block off any kind of anything going in there to shut them off and to shut them down.
Yeah.
But people have got to start educating themselves. It's not about the black people. It's not about the color of people's skin. It goes beyond that.
That is so true. That's why I said this morning, I will not be racist and amplify or even say Black Lives Matter in a positive tone, because all lives matter, all skin color matters. We're all God's children. And for some to stand up in a very racist connotation and say, Black Lives Matter, I'm not going to do that, because everyone is important.
Exactly. People, start educating yourself on what is going on behind the scenes and who is behind it.
You got it. You know, it was a treat to have you call. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Zeb, for all you do.
Thank you.
Everybody better cowboy up and take arms and get ready.
There you go. There you go.
We're not immune.
Thank you again. God bless you and have a great day. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to hold off on the weather forecast just for a minute and take this next call. You've been waiting patiently. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead and do your weather. I'll wait.
Well, that was awful nice of you. My goodness, you took a nice pill this morning. Thank you. All right, hey, I'll be right with you, Doug. Stand by. The weather forecast this hour brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they help me, they can help you. Dr. Christine Pickup and the staff, they are excellent professionals, and they can help you with your hearing health. Believe me, providing expert diagnostic testing combined with the best technology to provide the most comprehensive treatment available for you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And the number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. Here's Gina with the weather.
More precipitation is in the forecast for today. Hopefully by tomorrow and the rest of the week it will be warming up. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Chance of rain, showers, and thunderstorms are possible this afternoon. Some of these storms could produce small hail and gusty winds. Mostly cloudy skies, and winds could gust as high as 26 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 58. Those showers and thunderstorms are going to continue for tonight, tapering off after midnight. And again, some of these storms could produce small hail and gusty winds. We are expecting a low of 44. Tomorrow, back to mostly sunny skies, breezy, high of 61. Thursday, sunny and 72. Friday, sunny and 76. As we look ahead towards Sunday, could get up to 90. That's a look at your weather for Zebeth Rain.
Wow. Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by the best when it comes to your hearing health. And we're talking about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And again, I urge you to call the number for a hearing screening, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Doug, thank you so much. Go ahead.
Not a problem, sir. Yeah, the Black Lives Matter is basically racist. They're saying their lives matter, but nobody else's lives do.
That's right.
So, I mean, it's not a given that only white people are racist. All Caucasians have racism in it. And if they're worried about the treatment of a certain society or a certain group of people, then they should be upset all over the world of the treatment of those people. And there still are black people taking black people in for slavery. Slavery's still going on around the world, but yet America was terrible for having slavery and yet abolishing it.
Let's just cut to the chase. I absolutely do not understand. Help me on this, please, Doug. I do not understand why our politicians that should know, and the Republican Party that absolutely is laying like a doormat right now, and the rhinos like Mitt Romney are so susceptible to falling into the trap of Black Lives Matter, to the point where Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. They don't like the Constitution of the United States. They don't like our system of government. They want everything abolished. And it's very, very heavily involved with the LGBT issues, and absolutely an upheaval of values in the United States. But people are buying into this. Just like I said.
Yeah, it's a sad deal. It really is. And the silence from our politicians, our representatives here in Idaho and around the country, the silence is deafening because they are not standing up against this.
Amen. I know you got another call. I'll let you go, but God bless you, man. Thanks much.
Oh, no, that's fine. It's somebody send me a fax.
I want to tell you one other thing, and not tell you anything. I want to ask you about something. This cancel culture that's going on because of what we've had as a problem in the last 2 months here with the riots, the burning, everything else, it's so completely getting out of hand. I had a call yesterday. Now, this is going to blow your mind. That, they're trying to stop all the police shows on TV and revoke some of the movies, Gone with the Wind, and some of the other movies about police, etc. And then I heard, this is going to really clean up the floor for you, that they also are thinking about canceling reruns of Andy of Mayberry because he played a sheriff.
Exactly. I know. It's a sad deal, but what about all these movie stars that have played villains and have played cops in these movies and have handled guns and banished them all over the screen shooting people? I mean, they got a 700-round clip in it. They never had to reload. But what about those movies? Let's ban them. Let's ban the actors that portrayed them, that done them.
Yeah, I just am at a loss. I don't know if the rumor is true, but it was going around. I had a call, and they said, well, they're thinking about going into the archives on, like, the TV Land channel and stopping, like, Andy of Mayberry because he portrayed a sheriff, and then the Western. Remember the John Russell actor? He starred in Lawman, and here's another rumor, and I can't verify this thing, but it goes along with the ridiculousness of canceling Gone with the Wind and that type of thing. Even Gunsmoke.
Yes. And even Elmer Fudd, they're taking his gun away.
Now
Elmer Fudd did not kill anything.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever shot a rabbit.
Well, he couldn't see.
But, that's the insanity. That's the stupidity of these people. They are... I mean, you can't have common sense or two brain cells more than it takes to walk and breathe and come up with this stuff.
Well, and the destruction, Doug, you come over tonight. Let's jump in my pickup, and we'll go get one or two of your friends, and we'll go and tear down some statues because we don't like those statues. I can guarantee you that you wouldn't be at your office tomorrow morning. I would not be on the air in the morning. We'd be behind bars in jail because of what we did. And these people are getting away with absolutely destroying property and mayhem, and they're getting away with it.
And that's what I've said over and over again. We need to have equal justice under the law. Don't matter who you are, what you represent, you break the law, by George, you go to jail.
You got it.
That's what we need to get back to, and until we get back there, until we start holding people accountable for their actions, we're going to continue this mess.
And these people are, how can you say it any other way that they're not real bright? And simply put, they're dumb. One of the statues that they tore down and threw red paint over and everything was a statue of an abolitionist that was against slavery and did all he could to help employ blacks in America. But these nimrods that have absolutely the IQ of a hockey puck, they tore down his statue.
That is dumbing down of America. That's what you get when you don't teach true history, because you and I know, Zeb, we've been around long enough to know that you learn from your mistakes. And if you don't, see the mistakes and realize you made a mistake, you won't learn.
You got it.
And that's how America has become the shining beacon on the hill. That's why America has become the envy of the world. is because we've made mistakes, but we've corrected them. We've learned from them.
Yeah, but you keep saying we, and that's the problem. The first three words of our Constitution, we the people, we are not exercising that, and we're not cleaning up this mess.
Yes, and the one thing these Black Lives Matter and these Antifa groups, one thing they failed to learn as they were growing up, and I blame their parents for this, is respect.
Amen. As you can see by looking at your clock, I got to run. Doug, God bless you for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. If you can go there and eat, let's go support them.
Amen.
They need all the help we can get.
Amen to that. Thank you, Doug. Right now, we're going to take a little break and come back, and one of my favorite guests, Dan Kish, is going to be on the program at 9:06 with the American Energy Alliance. And then at 9:30, another great guy, Dr. Paul Nathanson, is going to be talking on the program. So don't miss that. All of that coming up in the next hour on Zeb at the Ranch. Have a great day. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning, and welcome back on a cloudy Tuesday. They're calling for some precip. Might even get some thunder bangers out here this afternoon. Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with their friends. Right now, let's have this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand. Always at Georgia struggle. Western Waste Services.
You know, always at your disposal. That's really the truth. They are, because I'm urging you, if you're new in the area and you don't know who to call to get rid of your garbage, let me give you Western Waste number 734-6969. Call them. They will be there once a week to pick up your garbage. What a great, reliable, professional route service. Absolutely. Western Waste Services, they are the best. Always at your disposal, 734-6969. Want to also remind you about our dear friend Joel Heward. Joel, good morning to you and your family and your staff over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, they really care. They have more than just the regular hours, very flexible hours to serve you and your family. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are available to you. Please remember providing the families they serve the best possible support and comfort, and always with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to remember the number 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. One other quick note, and that's in regards to our friends over to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Oh, they are the best. At 2 businesses, really, I want to highlight quickly. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, taking care of all your aches and pains, your recuperation from surgery or an accident with the best of physical therapists. And Nick Greenwell also has Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley. I mean, caring for your physical fitness at Elite Fitness. You better check it out today. 2 great businesses helping your health. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation and Elite Fitness. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and one of my favorite people to come on the program, and that is, of course, American Energy Alliance, Dan Kish. Dan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Zeb.
Dan, I got to start things off this morning by mentioning our wonderful, illustrious Idaho Power and their goals in the bill that they sent everybody last month. And, Sean, I got just a little bit of feedback here. If you could help me on that, I'd appreciate it. In the bill that they sent me last month was a whole bunch of promotional activity that says, quote, count down to 100% clean energy. And they've announced that they're going to be providing their goal of 100% clean energy by 2045. And then they go on and on about wind and solar. And I'm sitting there going, ay, 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 ay. What are your thoughts?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Idaho's blessed, as you know, because of hydropower. And it's renewable energy, although the Greens don't like it. They want to tear down dams because they actually work. And so they're proposing all of these, solar and wind, Chinese solar, and who knows where the wind's from, plans that utilities like because they get to buy new stuff
right.
and charge you for them in your bill. Not just the cost of the things, but actually a rate of return. Whereas if they just use their existing plants, all they can do is cover their costs. And so this is called greenwashing. Frankly, that's what it is. It's trying to make people who think that this is a good thing feel good about themselves, when in reality it's just hiding a opportunity to make some quick cash because they think everybody wants this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the Greens want to tear, the people who are behind this whole proposal want to tear down dams, not keep them going or build new ones. They'll tell you that's just terrible for the environment. So it's happening all over the country. We'll see if it continues. I believe they're going to run into some problems before it's all over, because people are going to start seeing those bills and wonder, wait a minute, why did we have some of the cheapest power in the country, and now all of a sudden they're adding all this stuff that's supposed to be free, right? It's free energy, sun, wind, and our bills are going up. And that's what's happening everywhere in the country where they're adding more energy. The rates of electricity are going up faster than those places that are sticking with the sorts of energy that they've used in the past.
So well stated, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Dan, we've got a caller with a comment or a question, so we'll put him on the air real quick. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I got a question. The question is, don't these people who realize that if they take out the dams, what kind of damage it will cause? Especially those who are high and mighty and decided to build their house along a river floodplain, whether it be the Snake or Missouri or Mississippi or anywhere. It doesn't much matter. The Columbia River, if they take those dams out, that's what's flood control, not just for irrigation and power purposes, but for flood control. I'm just curious if they ever thought of that. I'll let you go.
All right, go ahead. Dan, respond to the caller, please. Excellent question.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problems, frankly, of having a wealthy society where everything's built for you, and you just sort of move in and build something, is you don't understand what it was like before those trails were blazed by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's California with their water policy, where they are tearing down dams and pouring huge amounts of water out into the Pacific, denying people the use of it, and that's just the God's truth. Or whether it's in other parts of the country, they don't understand that part of the reason they've got dams is, and they're multi-purpose. That's the beauty of them. They produce enormous amounts of power, potentially, but they also regulate water so that it can be used for human purposes and for animals, and wildlife, and everything else. And if the desert can bloom because of these water projects, they want them down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess the answer to your caller's question is, I don't think people who have nice waterfront property along rivers, expensive, if they've moved there recently, have any inkling of what it would be like if they went back to Mother Nature just controlling these things. Because,
Absolutely.
They'd lose their waterfront really quickly.
Absolutely. Okay, now I'm going to ask your patience here for a second, Dan. I want to tell you what I saw again, and then I want to relate it to modern day times. You're going to laugh, but I saw again a movie that you are probably familiar with, Mad Max. And in the movie, the general gist of the movie is after a Holocaust and all kinds of wars, etc., there's a lot of warring factions within here in the United States to try to get oil and keep tanker trucks and everything else. You know the movie. And, I thought about that when I saw that movie again on television the other night. I thought, man, this could happen here in this country. Transportation of oil and the products to the various rural cities and towns depends upon truck traffic. It depends upon having the big transports. And all of a sudden, if they get their way, they being the left, to try to shut down our energy and try to shut down the use of petroleum products, we're going to have just a mess like Mad Max. Am I way off base?
No. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Energy makes things work. It's the capacity to do work, Zeb, as I mentioned before. That's its dictionary definition. And if you cut off the energy, reliable, safe, secure, because it's American energy, you're going to end up with a dystopian society like Mad Max depicts, and all of the other movies too. It's all about fuel. It's all about energy when you think about it. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, all of it. And it goes to show the importance of this to civilization. I mean, it looks kind of crazy and everything else, but what are they all out for? Fuel, energy, a way to get around, a way to stay alive. That's what it's all about. And people will literally kill for energy if it comes to that. And so all these plans to make it harder and more expensive for Americans to gain energy are just kind of Mad Max crazy.
I don't understand why the left, can't understand that as a progressive, and I mean that in a good sense, a civilized society like the United States of America, which has gone from, in the last 270 plus years, horse-drawn traffic or standing out there trying to herd the cows in tonight to milk with a stick, and we've gone to this great nation that's a leader for the rest of the world, and our transportation of all our goods and services across the United States, from east to west and north to south, depends upon energy. It depends upon our trucking industry. It depends upon a coordinated effort. And they want to disrupt that and throw it away?
Well, Zeb, I tell you, what they tell you is we can have the same thing. But, I'm pretty simple. I was brought up with the old adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it isn't broke. But what they're trying to do is convince us that the world's going to come to an end if we keep driving our trucks and tractors and semis to deliver necessary goods and services to Americans, and so we ought to try something different. And while a lot of people think, gee, that's attractive, that sounds good, when you drill down into the facts of the matter, the cost of these sources, where these products come from, whether they're actually more environmentally sound than the things that they're replacing them, It's not true. It's a made-up story. It's they're trying to pull the wool over people's eyes because they think they're stupid, and frankly, or ignorant, and frankly, a huge number of people who live in urban areas, they may have all the fancy titles and the sheepskins and all the rest, but in reality, they don't know which end of a cow is the business end.
Well, and the point that I'm glad you're making, I'm pro-agriculture all the way. And I just question people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others of her ilk, like Ilhan Omar and others. They don't have a clue. They don't have a clue about what it takes to grow lettuce. They don't have a clue what it takes to grow potatoes. They don't have a clue as to what it takes to run a dairy or run a ranch or whatever. And yet they'll sit there as they're cutting up their Caesar salad, and they'll criticize the people that are actually bringing that food to the market so that they can keep a sustenance of living. I get upset about this. I really do.
Yeah, well, for good reason, Zeb. I mean, it's an unfortunate reality of people whose lives have been made comfortable by things that they don't understand anything about. The electricity's on, the water flows, the food is in the grocery store when they take the elevator to the first floor of their apartment building, as in the case of AOC, and where she lives in Washington. She can go to Whole Foods in the base or in the first floor by taking the elevator from her luxury apartment upstairs, and it's full of food. She doesn't have any idea why it gets there or how it gets there. It just is there, and it's a sad commentary, but unfortunately, some people look up to people like that.
Absolutely.
I think they do so out of ignorance.
I think you're 100% right. We have another call. Caller, please, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, you ask them, where's electricity for your electric car? Well, from the wall. They have no clue what kind of damage it does to the environment to make that car or dispose of that car, build that windmill, that solar panel, everything like that. It's just there, like Ocasio and her groceries.
You know, that's really a good point, caller, and I want Dan to elaborate on that a little bit. They think that when they plug that car in, miraculously the electricity is going to appear, and we all know and realize that anybody that has a brain can see that the more we tax the grid of our electrical needs, the more power we're going to have to generate, not less. Dan, expand on that a little bit, would you please?
Sure, Zeb. I mean, here's the fact. They put in these solar farms, and they work at about 100% of nameplate capacity. And by that I mean they let's say you've got 100 megawatts of power proposed from a solar panel plant. Over a day, a full day, it's only worth about a third of that. You only get about a third total because the sun goes down. And the same thing with wind. Wind slows down. And as a result, you have to build 2 or 3 times as much in order to get the same amount of energy, and then you have to store it somewhere because, which is precisely what hydroelectric does by holding back water. You have to store it, and those things cost huge amounts of money, and the Chinese control the world market for all of the necessary minerals that go in there that they won't let us mine here in the United States because, gee, mining is terrible. And so they're basically saying we'll give up on American sources that are right here under our feet that we're blessed by God to have, and we're going to turn towards the Chinese to supply our energy. It's almost like when until the recent launch of the rocket by NASA and Elon Musk, we've been relying on the to send our astronauts into space. And what they're calling for is basically doing the same thing with our energy, except with China.
Yeah. Dan, one simple question, but I'm sure the answer is lengthy. Why aren't there opportunities for us, we the people, to confront these people in a question and answer debate and or whatever kind of forum and pin them down as to why and how much and how come and everything else? But they're getting off the hook. Are they confronted? Do you go in confrontation with these people? I mean, what's happening there? They need to be held accountable.
Sure, that's what we try to do. Although, you know how the media is, Zeb. They don't cover that side of the issue. They don't want to hear any of this. They frankly have made their minds up because they all live in the same cities. They all take the elevators down to their grocery stores too, and that's part of the problem. They like that city life, and they start thinking like it, and before you know it, that's all they report on. But I mean, clearly, President Trump isn't shy about standing up and saying we need American energy security, and he's done a fantastic job in terms of doing that. And what's amazing about this is, despite the success of all that, their cries have just gotten harder and harder and harder. And part of that is because, remember, solar and wind are not small industries. In fact, a lot of them are internationally owned, multinational corporations. They're trying to get in while the getting's good in the United States before we wake up like they may have done in their own countries.
Mm-hmm.
And they spend a huge amount of money lobbying people and PR. Basically, the environmental groups act as their public relations firms to tell the story about how great this stuff is, because the enviros are happy to take the money from these companies in order to basically destroy our way of life.
Absolutely.
That kind of is their, frankly, that's their goal.
Absolutely. And then, like in the case of Idaho Power, they're too cowardly to come out from under their desk and come on programs such as mine and answer questions. That's cowardly. Dan Kish, American Energy Alliance, my dear friend, God bless you, sir. I hope you have a wonderful week. And it looks like we're going to start moving more into a trend for summer with warmer temperatures. Take care, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eb. God bless you and your listeners.
All right, sir. Take care of yourself. Very, very nice man, Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance, and we're very blessed to have him on this program. I want to remind you, we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant this Thursday, day after tomorrow, as they celebrate summer and a lot of fun in the summertime. On this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're going to absolutely have kind of a Hawaiian luau effect, to the point where everybody's going to come on in, and on the 18th there's going to be chairs and tables outside for our lunch bunch, and we're going to be sitting outside enjoying great dining, nice people, and having prizes. They're going to have a duck pond over there for prize drawing. Holy moly, don't miss it. It's fun in the summertime at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And like I said, we're urging all the lunch bunchers to be there this Thursday at 11:30. Deanne and I will be there. You'd better be there, too, at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Want to remind you, too, about our friends over to Let's Ride. I absolutely look forward to the opportunity of getting on my four-wheeler, and my lovely bride and myself, we just take off and go to the hills. I'm telling you, let's ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. My goodness, they've got all the side-by-sides, and they've got all the four-wheelers. They've got all the accessories. You better get on over there and check it out. Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2, and just great people to work with over there. Get out of Dodge City on a great four-wheeler or side-by-side and enjoy the Idaho outdoors. Don't forget, too, they've got a wonderful service department to keep you running at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Absolutely. While you're over in that area, do not forget about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. They have done so much work for us, and they're very service-oriented, very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Todd and the crew at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. The number to call, make an appointment, and let them serve you, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, serving you, your family, and your business. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Wow, this next gentleman I really enjoy having on my program. He is a gender history and religious studies professor who has been on my show many times. And when it comes to our culture and seeing the demise of our American culture, he knows all about it. Dr. Paul Nathanson. Sir, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thanks.
Well, it's good to have you back on the...
I'm living in the Canadian epicenter of COVID.
What is happening in your world, the Canadian epicenter of COVID? How bad or what is the situation where you are?
Oh, well, we've passed the peak. It's getting better. We're opening up today and tomorrow and next week. So, but it's been tough, really.
What about some of the closures where you are, Doctor? I mean, were they overboard like what we saw in the United States with Governor Whitmer in Michigan and Cuomo like in New York? I mean, tell us a little bit about your situation.
Well, we had, it wasn't as bad as New York, but it was our equivalent of New York. Mainly in old age homes. There's not much difference, really. People argue here just as they do everywhere else about what to open, what not to open, how to open. But somehow or other, there's still life. So we carry on.
Absolutely. Doctor, I wanted you to come on the program this morning because I value your input about what is going on here in the United States and the so-called social injustice, if you would. We're seeing a complete dissecting and throwing away of our value system here in the States, especially the tearing apart and shredding of our Constitution. I never thought in my 72 years I would even think or hear about people demanding a defunding or disbanding of the police. What are your thoughts?
I'll tell you in 1 second. Can you speak a bit louder?
We'll have my engineer turn that up just a little bit. Sean, can you turn it up a little bit so he can hear that, please? Is that better, sir?
Slightly.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the situation that you describe is very dangerous. The obvious danger would be something like chaos without police. But there are that's only one example of a society that is fragmenting, pulling apart, polarizing. It's hard to see how anything good can be achieved, except, of course, that there have been suggested reforms of the police, and many of those seem like good ideas. I mean, why not have police trained, at least some police trained in specializations such as psychology, so that they can deal with people who are mentally ill? Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be a good idea. Mm-hmm. Having some accountability so that police officers who have been accused 15 or 16 or 17 times are at least known to their departments and not rehired. So there are various ways in which it can be improved, and police departments have a long history of reform. In the 19th century, police departments were as corrupt as city administrations, and there were all sorts of reform movements. Personally, I think that I'm not sure that the problem being cited now, systemic racism, is in fact what the problem is, because if that were the case, then if there was public sympathy for racial aggression on the part of police, then how could we explain the overwhelming, universal repugnance that people feel toward some of these recent events, such as George Floyd? There's no sympathy for that kind of thing. In that way, the police and society as a whole have really changed for the better, because 50 years ago, 60 years ago, there was no sympathy. I mean, this event would never have come to light, and if it had come to light, it would have been dismissed or trivialized. So things have really changed, and I guess I'm a little sick and tired of hearing people say that nothing has changed. I think with problems such as racism, that's not going to disappear overnight, and I'm not sure it'll ever disappear completely. But the virulence and the institutional support for racism has really diminished. I mean, we don't have a lot of Ku Klux Klan members these days, and they're not out there in the middle of town with their white sheets, and they're not burning crosses. And if they do occasionally, there is massive hostility toward them. So I don't think it's true to say that everybody is a racist or everybody condones racism. I don't think that's true. But there are systemic problems that the police have, as every institution does, and one of them is that there is a tendency of police departments to protect officers who are accused, either to not keep records of it or to have the union step in and try to cover up these things. But the systemic problem, I don't think, is racism. I think the systemic problem is the protectiveness of police departments. And frankly, they have some reason to be protective, because the job that they do is extremely dangerous, and it's not particularly well paid. And if police officers were afraid to go and do their job, which I would think many of them are becoming afraid, well, then you couldn't staff police departments.
Absolutely true. Dr. Nathanson, one of the issues that has really bothered me over the last many months is the growth of a group or organization that is founded upon Marxist principles, and I think that they are doing everything they can to disrupt and hurt the value system in America, and I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to call it what it is: Black Lives Matter. To me, that's a very offensive term and name for a group, because in my estimation, all lives matter, not just Black Lives Matter. And when they say that and promote it, it's a very racist type connotation. Would you agree or disagree?
Yes, I would. I think I'm less concerned about the words that are being used as general principle. I don't think that everybody who says Black Lives Matter means that all other lives don't matter. But it's not the best way of expressing it. But I think that the real problem, as you say,
is the hijacking of a protest movement, which I think is perfectly legitimate. The hijacking of that movement by people who have no interest in the matter at hand. I mean, I think that it's a way of creating chaos, because riots are in fact chaos. So it's taking advantage of a protest to create chaos, which in turn invites a harsh response, and therefore you have the two dangers. The harsh response can turn into totalitarianism, but on the other hand, no response is basically just anarchy. So we have to find some way of steering between too much order and too little order.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, while we have time in this segment, about another terminology, if you will, that is extremely offensive to me, and I would think it would be offensive to you also, the terminology white privilege. There's never really been a definition on white privilege that I can understand or appreciate. I've worked hard all my life for what I've obtained and what I've earned, and I hate and despise the terminology that's thrown at me. You have white privilege.
Yes, because of course not all white people are in fact very privileged. I mean, there are some whites at the very top of the ladder, but most people are nowhere near there. So the problem with white privilege is, and that's only one example, because they also use the expression male privilege. But, I mean, there are several very similar terms, but the reason why those terms are used is basically to shut people up. It's like, you have no right to talk, you're privileged. So when you silence your adversaries, when you don't have to negotiate in the public square for reforms or justice, then you just, the simplest way to do it is simply get rid of your adversaries by silencing them. In the old days, adversaries were taken out by, killing. Today, people don't have to get their hands dirty with murder. They can simply use a political environment to silence their opponents. So whatever women do, men have no right to say anything. And, of course, my research has been mainly on feminism as a secular religion. But the same, I think, can be said of the equivalent for black people, which might be Black Lives Matter or some other organization. But it's all identity politics. That's the general word. The whole thing is based on the idea that you are either good or evil, innocent or guilty, deserving or undeserving, simply by your biological identity. And it's whether it's having a male chromosome instead of two female chromosomes, or whatever it is. You're not judged by what you do yourself, as Martin Luther King said, the content of one's character. You're judged instead by the color of your skin, or the genitalia that you were born with. So this really is a deeply disturbing phenomenon.
Let me, if I may, and Sean, I got a little bit of feedback coming down the feed line, if you could, please. Dr. Nathanson, this might simplify it to the point of being too simplified, but I look at sports as an equalizer, being that I've been involved in sports all my life. I didn't care if the shortstop on my baseball team was black. I didn't care if the right fielder was Hispanic. We were all out on the field to win the game and possibly go to the championship. And it's too bad the adaptation of those same philosophies from sports couldn't portray itself every day in everyday life.
Yes, well, that's quite true. But, I mean, even in sports, there's a history of, how long did it take Jackie Robinson to get into the big leagues?
True.
I mean, there was discrimination, but that was a long, long time ago. And I don't think it's right to say that time has stood still. We've come a long way, and I think that we need to develop enough confidence to continue rather than simply collapsing in on ourselves in racial and gender and other forms of polarization. Those things destroy society for everybody, not only for whites, not only for men, but for everyone.
Yeah. But can we, in your opinion, can we ever get back to a society that doesn't have, it's colorblind. Let's just say a colorblind society where people are judged on their merits and how they treat other people and how they do their job. Is that absolutely never going to happen, or is it possible?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't predict the future. All I can say is that had we followed Martin Luther King instead of the alternative that emerged after his assassination, we would be a whole lot better off. And I think that whatever the end result is, there's only one honorable path into the future, and that really is exactly what Martin Luther King said.
I agree with you.
I'm old enough to remember hearing his speech, the I Have a Dream speech, and I was profoundly moved by that. And I think a lot of other people were too. And there was a sense of hope because he appealed not to cynicism, but to the possibility that most people are people of well-meaning people who want better lives than you could have under segregation.
Amen.
So I really think that he is the one that we should be talking about.
I think you're right, and I also remember that speech vividly. Dr. Paul Nathanson, I appreciate your being on the program. This man has written so many wonderful books and has done so many studies. I appreciate your coming on the program. Dr. Paul Nathanson, please come back in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Enjoyed the conversation. We had just a little difficulty there trying to hear with the feedback. I don't know, some phone lines, and I will blame it on some phone lines, just are not adapting to what we need and want to have. I want to remind you that it's time for the weather. And the weather, of course, brought to you this hour by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Simply put, they are the professionals in accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area, as they have been for well over 50 years. We're talking about the best in tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, all of this and more. They are so professional in the way that they serve you, your family, and your business. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
More precipitation is in the forecast for today. Hopefully by tomorrow and the rest of the week it will be warming up. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Chance of rain showers and thunderstorms are possible this afternoon. Some of these storms could produce small hail and gusty winds. Mostly cloudy skies, and winds could gust as high as 26 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 58. Those showers and thunderstorms are going to continue for tonight, tapering off after midnight. And again, some of these storms could produce small hail and gusty winds. We are expecting a low of 44. Tomorrow, back to mostly sunny skies, breezy, high of 61. Thursday, sunny and 72. Friday, sunny and 76. As we look ahead towards Sunday, could get up to 90. That's a look at your weather for Zebedee.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Thank you, Gina. Excellent job. And the weather brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The professionals. Don't forget, offices at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Please contact them. They can help you. People that are starting a business or a corporation, wanting to expand their business and hire more employees, they're there to serve you. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I've got time for a couple of calls. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's going to be a little tough for me this fall if the NFL starts up to support and or have anything good to say about the National Football League and Commissioner Roger Goodell and the way that they have handled this situation over the last couple of months. There seems to be a wussy, and that's the word I'll use, very apologetic move on behalf of the leadership of the NFL, Roger Goodell, the commissioner, to basically tell everybody, oh, well, we're sorry. You can kneel if you want to. We didn't mean to cause you any concern. You don't have to show your respect for the American flag. What? What kind of a system are we showing and teaching our younger people about this greatest country ever on the face of the earth? Well, if you want to kneel, or if you just want to sit during the national anthem, you just go right ahead. Yeah, that's fine. This is ridiculous. I just heard yesterday, that a high school baseball team in Iowa decided that when the national anthem was played, they were all going to take a knee. Some sat down. Where is the respect? The respect for what has been given to them. And when I say given, they have the greatest country. They've got the greatest of all assets of any country in the world. And these kids, with no parental or coaching help or guidance, decide, well, we'll just take a knee. Yeah, we don't have to show respect to the flag. Yeah, it just makes me so mad. I have to really measure my words because I am spewing out hatred against those that cannot and do not show respect for our flag and our country. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Didn't Colin Kaepernick take a knee to protest police brutality?
Yes.
So why are we kneeling? So why don't we kneel during the halftime or between the second and third inning? Or why does it have to be the national anthem? If it's so important to bring out police brutality, do it on your own time, not my time, because that flag is mine and that anthem's mine, and I don't want your protest.
Amen.
You believe in.
Amen. I just wonder what kind of a generation is coming up from, and again, the feedback, Sean, on the line, please help me a little bit on that. Might have to ride the gain a little bit on some of these calls if you could. But the negativity that these kids are learning and doing as far as, well, it's the national anthem. Who cares? Let's take a knee. Let's sit down. It's no big deal. My God, this is the United States of America. Where's the respect?
These are the kids who are given participation awards.
Yes. You are right.
They didn't learn to respect losing and winning. They didn't learn to respect anything.
Well, somebody's got to stop this, and I don't care if I'm going to harp on this every day, but if we can't stand and say thank you with our hand over our heart for having all the sacrifice that's been given and afforded to us, we're just not a very good people.
Well, and part of it's to bring out the cell phone. I kind of to change the subject a little bit. I watched a video this morning of a flag being brought home to an Ogden military man And they brought it off the plane, and they had a military man to accept the flag, and then they had 6 officers from the Ogden Police Department take that, guard the military man as he took that flag out to outside. They put it in a box, and everybody whipped out their phone, but I didn't see one person stand and put their hand over their heart. Not one.
Oh, my. It's so sad. Thank you. Thank you for your call. God bless you. Thank you much.
God bless you.
Thank you. I just can't imagine. I mean, we're talking about a society that just doesn't care. I mean, I couldn't care less about these prima donna athletes that think they're better than anybody else, overpaid, underworked jocks that all of a sudden don't want to respect America. And it's in America where they're getting these multi-million-dollar contracts. Caller, quickly, I've got to do a commercial. I'll take your call. I've got 1 minute. Go ahead, please.
Yes, it's the disrespect through everything, not just the flag, but for the police officers, for the elderly, for each other. Their lack of respect is killing this nation, and you can see where it started at and where it's coming from. And I don't know exactly how to stop it, but we got to stem the tide somehow, somewhere. The flag represents not just this great nation, but the history of this great nation. And I'm afraid some of these younger generations have no idea about the history because that's not important anymore to them.
I agree. Riley, thank you for your input. I hate to be rude, but I got to get a commercial in and then get to the news. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Want to remind everybody about Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley with Curtis and Lorena, and they've got a big deal coming up down there. You go on in, and a percentage of your purchases at Patterson's is going to go towards your favorite charity, and the top 2 charities are going to receive $500 each from Patterson's Electronics. That is a nice gesture, and it helps everybody in the community. Patterson's Electronics, my goodness, all your electronic needs. Home theater systems, video surveillance cameras. I mean, we're talking about all the car stereos and speakers, everything, and they've got the knowledge to back it up, too. At Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Patterson's Electronics. Got to run to the news. I'll be back in 7. Don't go away. Oh, I love it when they play that music. I love that piano. Man, oh man, can they tickle those keys, I'll tell you. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, our dear friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Oh, this is a beautiful location right there on 21st Street, just a mile east of Walmart. Absolutely a great place for senior living. 12-bedroom home, and I mean beautiful, brand spanking new, and they have excellent 3 meals a day and snacks and housekeeping and local transportation. And Matt and Kelly Wiggins would love to show you around. How do you set up an appointment? Easy. Just call the number 650-4979. 650-4979. Greystone Crossing. Independent senior living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Want to also acknowledge, in these times, you better have a little security blanket and build up your financial security and future with silver purchases. Silver's going up. 7K Metals can help you create your own security bank through silver purchases that come right to your home. Absolutely a great saving opportunity for you and a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. I urge you to get a hold of my friends Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call. They'll tell you all about it. 7K Metals, serving you. Well, it's that time of the week. It's Tuesday, and here he comes wearing his chaps and his old mule-eared boots and a Stetson that looks like it got run over by a Conestoga wagon. Fortunately, his head wasn't in it. Good morning, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb.
How are you?
Good. Nice day out there, sort of. It's a little sprinkling, a little bit of rain.
Is it sprinkling a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a nice day. It's not cold.
Well, anyhow, can you imagine what it was like in the Old West, knowing that rain or snow, sleet or hail, wind, whatever, they still had to keep on moving?
They kept it going. Yep. They did. And I'm glad they did.
Yep.
So today I'm going to throw in a story about a group of men called the Cowboys. And I'm going to throw in a little bit about Wyatt, Virgil, and Morgan Earp. How does that sound?
Okay, the Cowboys and Wyatt and Virgil and Morgan Earp. Right. Now,
I'll show you how
the Earps were not really cowboys.
No, but I'm going to show you how they meet.
Oh, okay.
How they come together.
All right.
So the Cowboys actually were the Old West's biggest outlaw gang. That's what they referred to them as.
Oh.
And in Arizona and New Mexico, they committed highway robberies. They robbed Mexican pack trains. They stole thousands of heads of cattle on both sides of the border and murdered at least 35 men.
Oh, my.
These guys were not good guys. Now, the Cowboys worked closely with dishonest ranchers who helped them to smuggle and conceal the stolen livestock, and with crooked butchers and cattle dealers who were only too happy to buy cheap stolen beef. They just turned the other way. They knew they were stolen. And they were unopposed in Arizona territory until they ran headlong into the deadly Wyatt, Virgil, Morgan Earp, and Doc Holliday. And we'll get to that a little later.
I got to have a question, though, quickly.
Okay.
Is this the group or bad guys that was featured in the movie that they cleaned up?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that movie was.
They wore a red bandana on their boots or their...
It doesn't. My story doesn't talk about that.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know
I'm sorry.
about that. I mean,
okay.
They could have been, though.
Okay.
But anyway, the Cowboys' beginnings lay in the savvy and the six-shooters of John Kinney, one of the most notorious outlaws of the American Southwest. Several desperados who became leading men in the Cowboys rode with John Kinney in Texas and New Mexico territory, playing bloody roles in the El Paso Salt War and the Lincoln County War, and you know about that.
Yeah.
And two of these guys were Bob Martin and Curly Bill Brocious.
I remember that name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in November 1878, these guys had been in jail, and they broke jail near El Paso, and they fled to southeastern Arizona territory. It was an isolated frontier. There was no settlements, no towns, no border, and best of all, no law enforcement, just mountains and desert and mesquite and Apaches. So during the next 2 years, Bob Martin and Curly Bill were joined by a bunch of bad guys and fugitives, including Johnny Ringo, Pony Deal, Cactus Bill Graham, Harry the Kid, Frank Stilwell, and a bunch of others. Just bad guys. Anyway, they formed a pretty loose-knit gang of about 100 outlaws, which operated in small bands on both sides of the border. Their number would eventually grow to as many as 200, and the Mexicans called them Tejanos or Texans.
Right.
That's what they were referred to. So, but the Americans called them the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that came. And although the term cowboy had been in common use in New England and the late 1700s, by 1879 it took on kind of a bad meaning in Arizona and New Mexico. And one frontier journalist explained that cowboy is a cross between a vaquero and a highwayman.
Yeah.
So the early term of cowboy was not a good thing. Okay.
Well,
I mean, it depends on how you look at it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, while most of the Cowboys were Anglo, the band included some Hispanics, including a guy by the name of Florentino Sayas, and he first came to prominence as a member of the Gang of Guadalupe Celaya.
You're having fun with this, aren't you?
Yeah. This was a Mexican revolutionary in September 1878. Sayas and other members of his gang committed one of Frontier, Arizona's most infamous murders. There was a place called Beryl Springs in Davidson County, 33 miles southeast of Tucson.
Okay,
Ever heard of that?
Yep.
Okay. Well, they ambushed and killed Captain John Hicks Adams and his mining partner, Cornelius Finley. Now, Captain Adams was one of California's most famous lawmen. He had served as sheriff in San Jose. He and his partner Finley had just been sworn in as deputy U.S. Marshals. So this Sayas guy managed to escape justice after killing them. He got away. But more than 3 years later, he would meet his fate in the deadly guns of Wyatt Earp.
Uh-oh, look out. Here comes Wyatt.
Yeah. Now, we go back to 1878. The mining camp of Tombstone sprang up, and it quickly became the Cowboys' favorite watering hole. On the night of April 8th, 1879, Charlie Snow, a killer who rode in the Lincoln County War, he kind of got liquored up in Tombstone. He soon ran into a guy named Frank Patterson, a 25-year-old cowboy, so he was an outlaw too, but he owned a ranch. Well, the two of them got into a quarrel, which ended when Patterson, the rancher, drew his pistol and shot Snow. Shot him down.
Uh-oh.
Well, one of the witnesses later said that the New Mexico desperado was not really wounded that bad. He was just a flesh wound.
Oh, he didn't kill him.
No, he didn't kill him. But the officers arrested Patterson, but because Snow recovered from his wound, they didn't charge him.
You're
they just
kidding.
let him go.
Really?
Yeah, the guy didn't die. He was okay.
My goodness.
You know. Well, anyway, before long, Patterson, the rancher, was involved in a much deadlier affair on November 9th, 1879. An old prospector named John Van Houten was found dead. The deputy sheriffs quickly arrested three of the cowboys, Frank Patterson, the rancher, Pete Spence, and another guy named Frank Stillwell. Now, Stillwell was a little more well-known as an outlaw, as well as three other suspects. Well, they were accused of trying to jump Van Houten's mining claim, and as was customary in that time and place, all gained their release due to lack of evidence. The three cowboys, especially Stillwell and Spence, would be heard from again and again in the years that followed, and Stillwell would not survive his final encounter with Wyatt Earp.
So Wyatt was busy.
He was a busy guy.
Buying ammunition.
He was. He was a busy guy. So we have Bob Martin and Curly Bill, and they made frequent raids across the border to steal cattle from Mexican rancheros. One of the targets was the Corralitos Mining and Cattle Company. Its owner, Ramon Lujan, had been joined by one of his American partners, a guy by the name of Major George B. Zimpelman. Zimpelman. Okay. So remember that name.
Easy to remember. Zimpelman.
So Zimpelman became wealthy, investing in businesses, mines, and ranches in Texas and Mexico. By the summer of 1880, he'd moved to Mexico. Now, because of the repeated cowboy raids, Zimpelman brought several men with him from El Paso. He was not happy to have his cattle be stolen. So,
well, imagine that.
Yeah. So these Texans, along with Mexican recruits, were known as Zimpelman's Guards. Okay, You got the picture? So Martin and Curly Bill had picked a kind of a tough outfit to tangle with, so to speak.
Yeah.
So in early August 1880, Bob Martin and Curly Bill and another partner named Miller McAllister, who was actually a crooked butcher. McAllister would take all the stolen cattle, cut them up and sell them, you know. Anyway, and then several other cowboys, they rounded up 300 head of cattle on Zimpelman's ranch, and they started for the border. Well, the theft was quickly discovered, and Major Zimpelman and 14 of his guards and vaqueros took to the saddle. They trailed them north. Mexican volunteers joined the pursuers, and they spent 2 more days tracking the outlaws across the border.
Wow.
So you got the picture here?
Yeah.
Okay. 300 head of cows, some cowboys against Zimpelman's guards.
Yep.
Anyway, so the posse found the outlaws holed up in a stockade in the mountains of New Mexico. Their fortress was made of posts that enclosed a small cave under an overhanging border. Curly Bill, Cactus Bill Graham, and an old man named Scotty, the cowboys were trapped in the stockade.
Okay. They couldn't get out.
They couldn't get out.
Couldn't get out.
Okay, so the outlaws, Bob Martin and his men, were always heavily armed with six-shooters and Winchesters, while some of Zimpelman's guards quickly rounded up the herd of stolen cattle. The rest of them surrounded the stockade where these guys were hiding. Well, the cowboys immediately opened fire, and the guards returned it shot after shot. And according to one of the witnesses, he said the Mexicans would put their hats on a stick, and every time Cactus Bill Graham would just cut loose at it, until finally Curly Bill told him to quit shooting at the hats. Because the Mexicans were just doing that so that get them to shoot all their cartridges, and then they could take them over. But Curly Bill, he couldn't resist, Curtis, yeah. Anyway, Cactus Bill.
Cactus Bill. You got too many bills in there.
And Curly Bill told him if he didn't quit shooting, he was going to take his cartridges away from him. So quit shooting at the hats. Okay. Anyway, so above the noise of the gunfire, Curly Bill shouted to Graham, quote, "Now, if they make a rush on us, I will give your cartridges back, but not until they do." Can you just picture that, Zeb?
You know, really, when you think about it, here's a serious situation, a deadly situation, and you got some absolute jerk that just wants to shoot hats.
Yeah. I guess you would call that buck fever.
I would say, but that's a pretty big target, those old sombreros.
Well, yeah, but you'd think after he put a few holes in one,
wouldn't he wise up and say, maybe I'm running out of shells?
Yeah, you would think. Yeah. So, anyway, every time a guard showed himself the least bit, Curly would get him. They shot him. But Curly Bill never lost his nerve or got rattled under the circumstances. And the cowboys winged a few of Zimpelman's guards.
I see.
And wounded two of the posse's horses.
Uh-oh.
So finally, Tom Mode, one of Zimpelman's men, caught a glimpse of Curly Bill, and he squeezed off a rifle round.
Uh-oh.
Okay? Now, the bullet grazed the side of Curly Bill's head and knocked him to the ground. Just grazed. Okay? But the cowboys were unfazed and stubbornly defended their stockade with rifle and pistol fire. Zimpelman finally decided to withdraw for fear of having some of his men killed. So probably a smart move. I mean, he was looking out for his guys, his guards.
Yeah.
Well, the cowboys brought the wounded Curly Bill to safety and sent for a doctor in Silver City, and Curly actually recovered.
No, wait a minute. We're in a life and death situation.
Yeah.
They're trapped in a cave.
Yeah.
And the Zimpelman gang, or ranchers, they left.
Yeah.
And then the bad guys go to town and get a doctor. This is all for a Hollywood movie, you know
It is. It's great. Yeah. And I don't know which town they went to. But anyway, the governor of Chihuahua complained about the raids to the U.S. authorities, charging that the outlaws belong to the band, which is under the leadership of the notorious criminal Robert E. Bob Martin.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, but nothing happened. Okay, the appeal didn't do any good. But anyway, a few weeks later, Mexicans somehow managed to capture Bob Martin, and he was jailed in a place called Ascension. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's in New Mexico, I think,
yeah.
Right? Okay. But probably through bribery, a local judge promptly let him go.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. But anyway, so Bob Martin escaped back to his hideout in New Mexico, and he did not live long. 3 months later, he was shot and killed by a fellow cowboy in a quarrel over stolen horses.
Oh.
So you live by the bullet, you'll die by the bullet.
Yeah.
So with his death, Curly Bill quickly came to the forefront as the most notorious cowboy leader, but the cowboys' most brazen episode did not involve smuggling or raiding or shooting. Now, this is kind of a switch of what they're doing, okay? In October 1880, President Rutherford B. Hayes
You're on your own.
made a hugely publicized railroad excursion to the Pacific coast. His trip back to Washington, D.C. was on the Southern Pacific and Santa Fe Railroads, which at that time had not been completed. So after visiting Yosemite and Los Angeles, California, Hayes headed for Arizona, reached Tucson on October 24th. There were a lot of crowds greeting the president, who was accompanied by a bunch of dignitaries, including General William Tecumseh Sherman and their wives.
Really? We have a call. Can we take that quickly? Caller, real fast. You're on the air. Real fast.
in Verdi, Idaho. I'm still alive and kicking.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate that comment, and I'm glad you're still alive and kicking. And
Thanks, Bob. Go saddle your horse. Get out of Dodge.
Thanks, Bob. Okay. Anyway, so you got the picture here. We got the president, all these important people.
Yeah.
So after a carriage tour of the Tucson's Old Pueblo, they were to proceed east through San Simon Station to the railhead near Lordsburg, New Mexico.
Right.
From there, the presidential party would board horse-drawn U.S. Army ambulances for the 180-mile overland journey to the Santa Fe railhead in New Mexico. And this was a kind of a risky thing because they were going into the heart of the Apache territory.
Yeah, the president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the danger didn't come from the Apaches. Just as the president's party was getting ready to leave Tucson that evening, they received a message that the cowboys had threatened to stop the train.
Oh, my.
And, I don't know what they had in mind, to rob the train or kidnap the president, or, I don't know what their thoughts were behind this. Anyway.
What kind of a security guard force did the president have?
I have no idea. I'm sure he had some kind of...
Oh, he had to.
Yeah. But, he had General Sherman with him.
Yeah.
I mean, the general. But anyway, there's another guy named General Orlando Wilcox. He was commander of the Army in Arizona. He boarded the coaches, the train, with several of his staff. And at Benson, the train stopped, and General Wilcox telegraphed ahead to Fort Bowie. He ordered a detachment of the 6th Cavalry to ride to San Simon, 14 miles northeast of the fort, to guard against the cowboys.
I see.
So they were warned ahead of time.
They were warned.
Yeah. So when
Secret Service knew about it.
They must have.
Yeah.
But when the train reached Wilcox, a stop named after the general, he had his telegraph operator tap the line and send a message to Fort Bowie. This message did not go through either because the lines were cut down by the cowboys or somebody. But anyway, General Wilcox also called for civilian volunteers to accompany the president. And so as they went along, they got more people to help. And 25 armed men quickly scrambled aboard the train. So we had some volunteers that jumped on.
Wow.
Anyway.
And really, there was no security clearances or anything.
Yeah.
They just took whoever wanted to jump on board.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that today.
No. But anyway, a Tucson journalist who accompanied the train reported, quote, "Happily, nothing occurred."
Oh, my.
So, fresh from threatening the President of the United States, a group of cowboys, which included Curly Bill, turned their horses toward Tombstone as they loped their Texas Mustangs across the cactus-studded desert, looking forward to raising a little fun.
That's not the way it's worded, and you know it.
Raising some fun in Tombstone. They could not have imagined what waited for them. The cowboys' epic confrontation with Wyatt Earp and his brothers was about to begin.
Oh, look out. We got 2 minutes.
I know it, and I'll have it done, too.
All right.
Curly Bill had a number of conflicts with the lawmen of the Earp family, and he was named as one of the individuals who participated in Morgan Earp's assassination.
Oh.
Now, Deputy U.S. Marshal Wyatt Earp and a group of deputies, including his brother Warren Earp, pursued those they believed responsible for Morgan's death. Well, the Earp posse unexpectedly encountered Curly Bill and other cowboys at a place called Iron Springs. Wyatt killed Curly Bill during the shootout, and so that is Curly Bill, Arizona's most famous outlaw.
This movie, it was with Kurt Russell. It was about Wyatt Earp, and when they met with Doc Holliday and everybody going after this group, but there was a special name that they had for him in the movie, and it's based on a lot of what you just said.
Okay.
And I remember all the stories about Curly Bill and the really rough and tumble associations they had back in the southern Arizona. I mean, it was a pretty trying time through there.
No, as I explained, not many settlements, hardly any law. So
absolutely. I just heard a bang. Is everybody all right outside the studio door? I hope. But anyway, Curly Bill met his demise by Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Wyatt stayed there. Was this before the battle, the gunfight at the OK Corral?
I'm not sure the exact sequence.
I think it was before, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
It was 1878, 1878, and I'm not sure what year.
I'm trying to recall the gunfight at the OK Corral. And then, quickly on Wyatt Earp, didn't he leave Tombstone, and instead of taking another job, didn't he go to the coast and live in Frisco for a while?
You know, I get the Earps mixed up a little bit.
Wyatt,
but that could be, yes.
Yeah, Wyatt got married again.
Okay.
And went on a cruise. I know they had him pictures. There's pictures of him on a cruise going to Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah, not really a cruise, but destination point.
Yeah.
And then he came back, and I believe he resided in the San Francisco
area. I think I did a story on him up in Alaska.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
Did. Yeah. A great story. I like those old stories, and a lot of which has been put into movie and book form.
Right.
Yeah. Have you got anything else?
I don't.
Okay. I had to turn my mic off to clear my throat. Listen, we had a caller, but we're out of time. I appreciate that, and I'm so sorry, but we're fresh out of time. And you'll be here again next week, correct?
I'll be here.
All right. You don't have to hurry and put your cap on. He's got his cap on, and he's heading out the door.
Didn't want to forget it.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Dr. History. And I'll do one commercial word here, and then we'll send it back over to our main studio. Thank you, Dr. Ken Turner. Don't forget Big Father's Day sale. Oh, my. Listen to this. Father's Day coming up this next weekend. Are you ready? Have they got your gift yet, Ken?
No, it's in the mail.
It's in the... It's in the mail. Father's Day sale going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley. And listen to this, no interest for 12 months on approved credit. All the recliners and all the mattresses. Oh, my goodness, sofas and love seats, reclining sofas and love seats, and living room sets. Oh, run Dad in and let him pick it all out at the big Father's Day sale at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Believe me, Jeff and the crew absolutely are waiting to serve you for a happy Father's Day at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. We're going to send it back to our main studio. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to our last segment. And we're going to get right to it in a moment, but I want to remind you, too, about Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. It is for sale. It may be for you. Absolutely. A great business opportunity, a turnkey business ready to go. Beautiful new shop, all the equipment and the knowledge of Doug Martin. He'll share with you and help you train for the business. Absolutely. And he'll also help with the financing. Check it out today. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Here is the number to call for this great business opportunity. 878-4991. 878-4991. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn. You call him today. I have been waiting to have this gentleman back on my program because he's going to tell it like it is, and that's the only way I respect it on this program. And I'm talking about the founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, and I've got a lot of respect for this man, Sheriff Richard Mack. Good morning. Good to have you on the program.
Well, thanks, Zeb. I kind of feel the same way about you. You kind of tell it like it is, and that's why I like being on your show.
Well, I got to tell you right now, Sheriff, I don't know what to do, what to think, or where we're headed, because the value system in this country and the laws and the regulatory means of making us all a civilized society, they're all up in the air like a juggler throwing the balls up in the roof. Where are we, and how are we going to get our country back?
Well, I felt that same, I guess, despair watching the destruction of American values and American idealism be flushed down the toilet because of a coronavirus that has been lied about, misrepresented, numbers inflated. Medical doctors and professional experts in the medical field have completely disagreed with each other on its threat, on its reality, how dangerous it really is, and what we should do to prevent it and to stay safe. when you have so many different experts disagreeing like that, it's really hard to decide where are we supposed to go on this. What are we supposed to do? Dr. Rayshard Battar is a friend of mine, and I'm on a committee with him. He said wearing a mask is ridiculous. He said that shutting down and quarantining healthy people was counterproductive and ridiculous. Then Dr. Stephen Smith and Dr. Shiva and about 500 other doctors wrote a letter to the president saying the same thing. So I even I took my son to the hospital a couple of days ago in Houston, and they were all wearing masks, and I had to get escorted to use the restroom. I had to get escorted to the restroom by one of their, team members, and to make sure I came back. And they kicked me out of the hospital. And I said, anyway, because visitors, my son could only have one visitor, and it was his wife. And I said, you know that I'm not from here and I have no place else to go? You're literally kicking me out to the street? I said, who does that? I said, a hospital is kicking a 67-year-old man out in the midday into the streets of Houston. And they go, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're sorry. So when it gets that ridiculous that you can't even wait in a lobby for your son who's really sick, and when you can't even trust a single doctor to tell you the truth in this country, I believe Dr. Battar has. I believe that Dr. Shiva has, and the 500 there, but I don't believe that Fauci has, and I don't believe that Birx has, and I don't believe that these hospitals that say everybody should be wearing a mask. Because I even asked the girl that was a medical professional, I said that escorted me to the restroom. I said, do you know that it's actually dangerous and counterproductive to your health to wear a mask all day? And she goes, yeah, I know. And she goes, it's actually damaging to your immune system.
Yes.
And I said, that's exactly what Dr. Battar said. I said, so why are you guys doing that? She goes, well, I just follow the rules. So, but we don't follow the rules here. And the rule of law has been completely destroyed. And we have mayors and governors who have completely destroyed the rule of law. We've made all of us mean and nasty, where we would kick somebody out to the street who doesn't know where they're going and doesn't have any shelter from the heat. And I'm sitting here going, what have we become, for God's sakes? And I'm willing to fight all of this. I'm willing to stand with the protesters in the horrible thing that happened to George Floyd. And then now the ridiculous shooting in Atlanta. And I'm just wondering, the same thing you said, how do we get our country back? Well, I would say if they really want law enforcement reform, then why don't we start completely over and examine what cops are supposed to do? Because nobody in this country addresses the hypocrisy of why we have every peace officer in this country, every sheriff and every public official swear an oath of allegiance to the United States Constitution before they can even take their job, and then all of them summarily ignore it or trample upon it. And so I don't believe that peace officers can do their job in this country without knowing and understanding the basics of their job, what form of government we actually have in America, and what our peace officers are actually supposed to be doing.
Sheriff Mack, let me jump in here. First of all, I want to show my concern. Is your son okay now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, we'll certainly keep him in our thoughts and prayers. And again, over at the studio, Sean, we've got that feedback problem, please. Let me ask you this. We saw mayors and we have seen governors override common sense. Governor Whitmer of Michigan saying that you couldn't take a boat on Lake Michigan, but you could take a kayak, and then you could go into the store, but you couldn't buy garden seed. I mean, what is it with these people in getting a power, an omnipotent power, and taking away our rights as free citizens? Where are we headed on all this stuff?
I wrote about that in our newsletter. I need to send you our newsletter because I wrote exactly that. But there is a glimmer of hope out of Michigan. You're probably familiar with the barber there, America's hero barber, Carl Mankey, the 77-year-old barber, who she locked down and tried to shut him down, and all he was doing is trying to make a living and trying to survive. And anyway, the Michigan Supreme Court ruled against her and for the barber in a 7-0 unanimous decision. And let me read this one sentence to you, what the Supreme Court there said. It is incumbent on the courts to ensure decisions are made according to the rule of law, not hysteria. One hopes that this great principle, essential to any free society, including ours, will not itself become yet another casualty of COVID-19. End quote.
Absolutely.
I love that. It gave me hope. It gave me assurance that maybe not everybody is off their rocker that's in government, because that Supreme Court got it correct, and that should be plastered all over America, that the rule of law is something that we must respect and get off the hysteria bandwagon and get back to be an essential part of a free society, because we're not now. And how the governors and mayors manipulated sheriffs and police to enforce their ridiculous, despotic, tyrannical orders is beyond me. But I will go back to the training. It's proof that these peace officers have never been trained in American ideals or in the Constitution of the United States.
Sheriff Mack, let me ask you this question. The movement, and unfortunately it's growing in their popularity, of disbanding and defunding the police, and people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez standing up and cheering the demise of the police, and people like Representative Ilhan Omar saying things like, all cops are rotten to the core. This is disgusting. And what are we going to do? There may be some bad apples in police forces all across the country. Absolutely, that's true. But all the 99.9% that are good policemen trying to serve the public, and now they're being thrown out like a baby with the bathwater. What are we going to do to change this?
Well, that's living proof that there's some real bad apples in Congress, too, because Omar and AOC are definitely a couple of them. And I'm all for re-examining law enforcement, but to create such chaos in our streets and to leave them unprotected by police, and if that's what they're asking for, if that's what they're really asking for, I just cannot fathom how either one of those two ladies could get reelected. And especially AOC, because she's run businesses, Amazon, she ran Amazon out of their state and cost them 15,000 jobs. And she has been so blatantly, ridiculously stupid on the environment. And now she comes out with no cops. And so if they were considering having them retrained and examining what we really do in police academies in this country, I would be all for that. But I am not for ridding our streets of all police. And that just shows you how absolutely insane some of these people are getting, and it's par for the course for those two people.
Let me ask you,
we really do need to examine law enforcement and how we're trained, and we really do need to examine why we take the oath of office. And I think that that's a simple training, and I do provide such training, and I would love to do it for any agency listening. Because I think it will change how officers look at the public and how we serve the public. And when we understand that we are guards of the Republic and guards of the Constitution, it changes your attitude towards protecting people. And if we would understand one sentence out of the Declaration of Independence, we would change the way we look at our job and how we affect the execution of the law. And it's this, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. End quote. Our purpose for which we are here is to protect freedom liberty and the individual rights of our citizens. We are never trained in that. We must be.
Sheriff, let me ask you about a situation that just absolutely is sticking in my craw every day that it elongates as a problem in Seattle, and that's the literal takeover of 7 blocks in the city of Seattle by people that are against our Constitution, defying our laws. They're hurting taxpayers. They're hurting the property owners. They can't conduct their business. They can't hardly get to their homes. This is absolute anarchy. What would you do if you were the sheriff up in Seattle?
Well, assessing the situation would come first, but I doubt if I was sheriff, I doubt if that would have ever occurred. I've actually handled these situations before with the Earth First protesters in my county, and there's a way to offset this and to be aware of the type of protests that are going on and by whom. But this now has gone on way long. And just imagine if this were a group of constitutionalists and militia people and gun-toting Second Amendment supporters, how the press and how the government would be responding. But it's left-wing wackos that are doing it, and the left-wing wackos in office, I guess the mayor of Seattle called it a block party. And just ridiculous stuff like that. But yeah, I would assess it, and I would be discussing it with President Trump, and I would be discussing it with the governor, and I would be discussing how we move the troops in there and get this settled and get these people arrested and get them off our streets and send a message to everybody else in this country. If you move in and try this kind of takeover, you will be punished. You will answer to the law. And we will protect people's rights in this city, and we will respect, as I said earlier, the rule of law. And those who want to go against that are not going to have a free ride in my jurisdiction, and that would be the utmost. And I'd also bring in Sheriff Grady Judd from Florida and have him be one of my consultants there.
Sheriff, when you look at this situation of lawlessness, I mean, we've gone through 3 and better than 3.5 years of the left and the Democrats crying foul over the Trump election, and it seems way too coincidental that we've had all these problems come up, whether it's the Russian collusion, whether it's the impeachment over the Ukraine phone call, whether it's the pandemic, or now all this absolute mess in the streets across cities in America. All of this seems to be very well funded and coordinated to stop the re-election of Donald Trump. Do you think I'm wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. I think you're spot on. The subterfuge and the international globalists who are against Trump and want to get rid of him, I don't think it's a coincidence. Their other subterfuge has failed. Ridiculous charade known as the Russia collusion allegation. It went nowhere. The impeachment went nowhere. And they had to do something else, and they did. And I want to say, and I don't want to downplay this by what we're saying, I'm appalled, shocked, and horrified as to what happened to George Floyd. It should never have happened. But I will say this. Martin Luther King, who most of those people protesting totally revere, I do too. And he said, hate cannot drive out hate, and violence multiplies violence. We got to stop that.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question for you, and caller, please, you're on the air quickly. Go ahead.
All right. Society began to change back in the 60s when these psychologists declared that things were normal that we considered abnormal, and that was the gay movement. They declared that the gays were normal because of pressure. This is in San Francisco. Now, it's gone so far that we can't tell anymore what is normal and what is abnormal. We got people in Congress that are that. But to bring it all down to the local area, what do you think about this new mayor in Boise and things that she is wanting to do. She's wanting to make Boise another Portland and San Francisco, and she's come out with a whole list of stuff that she's going to change, and it is going to affect the whole state because the largest population in the state is in Boise.
All right.
Now,
well, I will say
you're
that
going to be faced with
I try not to get involved in what people do in their privacy of the bedroom. I don't think it's an issue. I don't think anybody should make it an issue. People in public office that make it an issue, I'm totally against that. If there's nothing wrong with it, then why do you need to force it down my views or force your views onto me? Look, I don't go around saying what my sexual preferences are. I don't ask for a parade about my sexual preferences, and I don't want to hear about anybody else's. And I don't want it forced on my children or grandchildren. Other than that, everybody's the same. We're all created equal, and that's where I meet everybody.
What about those, Sheriff? The point the caller made is that we seem like we're getting so many of the liberal, very far left mayors and leaders of various towns. Look at the so-called mayor of Seattle and her leftist views calling the people that are disrupting the lives in Seattle patriots. And now we have the same circumstances, perhaps with what our capital city of Boise is going to turn into. And we've seen this happen across the United States. There doesn't seem to be any trend at all towards the Constitution or accepted American values.
And that's why I say that's where we need to retrain everybody. And unless these leaders in law enforcement and the cities and throughout the counties in America, unless the leaders say, we need to try something different. Why don't we get back to the basics? If we do not have that fundamental return to those basic values, we will continue to flounder and we will continue to destroy America, and we will continue to fulfill the prophecy made by Abe Lincoln. We will destroy each other from within. We will destroy America from within, and that is exactly what's happening. We better get back. The solution is behind us. It's in our history, and it's at Independence Hall in Philadelphia.
Amen. Sheriff Richard Mack, and I want you to know that our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, your son. I hope all goes well, and I certainly hope that you will consent to coming back on the program at a future time. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, too.
All right, sir. The founder of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, Sheriff Richard Mack, and I appreciate him being on our program this morning. And, boy, he said some things that are really, really noteworthy. We've got to get back to the basics. We've lost that in this United States, and valuing our family values, political values, and our Constitution. Right now it's time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Yes, Don Scarrow and the crew at scarrowsmeats.com. Go to the website and just check out all the delicious meats. I mean, they have got a lot, and I mean a bunch of pork and ham and all the different flavors of bacon and all the pork chops and the tri-tips, and oh my goodness, the list goes on and on. Bratwurst. I mean, for your occasions, whether it's maybe a family picnic or a get-together with the company or whatever, you better check with Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with our weather forecast.
More precipitation is in the forecast for today. Hopefully by tomorrow and the rest of the week it will be warming up. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Chance of rain, showers, and thunderstorms are possible this afternoon. Some of these storms could produce small hail and gusty winds. Mostly cloudy skies, and winds could gust as high as 26 miles an hour. We are expecting a high of 58. Those showers and thunderstorms are going to continue for tonight, tapering off after midnight. And again, some of these storms could produce small hail and gusty winds. We are expecting a low of 44. Tomorrow, back to mostly sunny skies, breezy, high of 61. Thursday, sunny and 72. Friday, sunny and 76. As we look ahead towards Sunday, could get up to 90. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you. And brought to you by my friends and your friends at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. My goodness sakes. I've known Don Scarrow for a long, long time, and he and his staff, they do a wonderful job in providing the tastiest meats for you. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. Wow, what have we got cooking? Oh, I got to remind you about this real quick. There's going to be a raffle at the Minidoka County Senior Center. Raffle tickets now available at the center, $2 for $1, $2 for $1, or $5 for $3. And they're going to be having homemade gift baskets, and the drawing is going to be on June 26th at 11 o'clock at the Minidoka County Senior Center. Don't forget that. Tomorrow on the program. Now, here's where I'm a little bit concerned. Now, we have at 10:06 tomorrow morning on my calendar the Idaho Fish and Game. But I haven't heard from them, so I'm hoping and praying they're going to be here. Anyhow, tomorrow we also have Kelly Sadler, and she's going to be talking about this mess going on with Seattle and other hot spots around the United States, and also my dear friend in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that's Dave Bigo. So we've got a full plate tomorrow, and we certainly hope that you will tune in. Again, a reminder that Thursday, we're going to be at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, and we're going to be there at 11:30 for lunch bunch, and it's going to be nice. The weather's going to be nice. They're going to have chairs and tables set up outside. We're going to have kind of a good summertime party, so everybody try to be there this coming Thursday at 11:30, right here, this week, day after tomorrow, at Denny's, America's Diner. Don't you forget that. Put it on your calendar, and we will see you there. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for today. And we always end the program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most to me, in God we trust. Thanks for tuning us in, 1230 KBAR. And then, of course, on the internet, zebbell.com. Thank you, one and all. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate your help. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.